Okay, this is for the Preparing for Death portfolio, and this is my fiance Tommy, and we're going to be going over my portfolio and just kind of seeing how he feels about them, the things that I said, and all of that. So, first we're going to look at my advanced medical directive, and so first you can look at this. This is my values worksheet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any strong feelings about any of these things that I wrote?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that one a lot. Like that.
Does this make sense? Something shocking to you here?
Yeah.
And like I said, that I want to preserve my quality of life. I want to still feel like myself, and I want my family to be there at the end.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Here I talked about I think I would want life-sustaining measures if I had a terminal illness, an irreversible chronic illness, or dementia, but I don't want life-sustaining measures if I'm in a permanent coma. Mm-hmm. Meaning that after a while it was kind of known that was it for me. Do you feel like that's shocking or anything?
No, that makes sense.
I basically said that I was okay with having any of these medical procedures, and then I don't currently have anything that's physically or mentally going to affect healthcare decisions that I would make.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I said that ideally I would not want to be put in a nursing home or care facility, but if you or our kids or whoever thought that was the best place for me, I would be willing to, because I would trust y'all. I would prefer to have a hospice at home. Do you have strong feelings about that? I know that wasn't really the case for a lot of your family.
Not really any strong feelings. I mean, the only thing I think of is it was so much easier for my mom with her mom being in the home. But like you said, if they think it's the best for you, then you're willing.
No, about being at home, not in a home.
Oh.
I want to be at home on hospice.
Yeah, that's
in our home.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Okay. And I said that I want to, as long as I'm mentally capable and aware, I want to be a part of my own medical decisions. And then I also want to know everything. I don't want there to be secrets about my condition. Some cultures and stuff don't share that.
Mm-hmm.
But I said I wanted to be in the know. Okay. This is decisions for specific therapies. It basically says my mental or physical state has deteriorated. The prognosis is grave, and there's little chance I'll ever regain mental or physical function. I would like the following. I said, yes, I want antibiotics, but dialysis, temporary or permanently, and artificial ventilation, I said it as a trial period. I don't really know that I want that, and I think that kind of compromises my quality of life, but I want I'm willing to try. But I said yes to electroshock, heart regulating drugs, steroid therapy, stimulants for heart, blood and plasma replacement, and then artificial nutrition and hydration. Is all of that feel okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This part I feel was the hardest for me to fill out, because this is about dementia provision, and basically it has a marker, and then your options are that you either want to live as long as possible, meaning it doesn't matter, you want to live as long as possible, that you want no life-saving treatments, meaning if you go into cardiac arrest, you would have a DNR in place at that point. The next being that you would keep me comfortable but stop any treatments that are preventing me from dying from other diseases. And then the last would be keep me comfortable stopping all treatments and withholding food and water so that I would die. The first one is I've forgotten everything about my past but still recognize those closest to me. I said I wanted to live as long as possible. No longer recognizing my loved ones but still smile and seem happy in my own world. I said maybe no life-saving treatments, but no longer recognizing loved ones And more often than not, I seem unhappy, sad, or anxious. I put the third.
Mm-hmm.
And I also put the third for that I'm suffering mentally from anxiety and you're not able to control it with any sort of medication.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of that, like, feel?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. This one says that I am angry or violent, but with medication I'm normally okay, and I said I want no life-saving treatments potentially, and that I'm angry or violent and it's not controlled with any sort of medication. I have the third option.
Mm-hmm.
And then on this one I honestly was kind of confused, but it just says I can no longer communicate with my loved ones through words. I just said I want to live as long as possible because I feel like there's a lot of other ways to communicate with, like, facial expression and physical touch and things like that. For I skipped some. For I can no longer feed myself, bathe myself, or toilet myself, I said I want no life-saving treatment. Again, I just feel like there's like can still be quality of life if you can't do those things, but I just feel like I don't know, it's less important to preserve at that point. But this one was I can no longer address myself, and I said I want to live as long as possible. I don't feel like that is really like compromising who I am for someone to help me get dressed. The only option to care for me is in a nursing home. I still said I want to live as long as possible. Again, I don't like ideally want to do that, but I don't think that I think there's a lot of life that can be lived there. And then if I don't seem interested in food, but I'll swallow if a spoon is held to my lips, I said no life-saving treatments. But if I'm not interested in food, it's probably coming to an end. Has anything so far, like, sparked any sort of, like, feelings, or do you think I need to, like, add some more detail in any of that, or do you need explanations for any of that?
I don't think I need any explanations, and I don't think you need more detail. I also don't really know, just because I feel like I don't have much knowledge in this area.
Yeah.
But it's all making sense so far.
Okay. These are, like, this is all part of the advance directive that, like, we'll keep in our home and stuff, and basically this is, like, an end-of-life wishes letter to medical providers saying that, like, I'm writing this letter saying, like, these are my wishes and what I want, and I'm, like, trusting that, like, my wishes will be honored and that kind of thing. And that's kind of the rest, like some with assisted living and hospital visitation. I, like, have in order that y'all could come visit me at first preference in any sort of medical facility. And that's kind of all for that. Now we're going to look at this section. Well, actually, staying with the advance directive, I said that I would like you or my mom to be my medical power of attorney. I guess it just kind of depends on when it is. I put my mom in case we died together in a car accident or something horrible. And I basically said that once we move into the apartment, we'll have a fireproof bag or some sort of box that can go in our hall closet that has this sort of information, our passports, birth certificates, all that kind of stuff. And I said that I was okay with really any close family member accessing it, but this was the list that I made if you want to look at that, if you have any comments.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense.
Okay. Next, this is kind of written out like what I want for the following things, and so I want your thoughts, reaction. This is kind of more of a place where you can have some opinion of like, hey, you need to explain why you did that or whatever, because ultimately, like, this document is supposed to be for my loved ones after I pass away. And so if there's anything that's confusing or you think I need to take more of a stance on, let me know, but I'm going to read you what I said here. So the first idea is the idea of having a good death. And I said that my idea of a good death is being able to leave this earth in a place where I feel comfortable, known, and loved. Ideally, I would like for this to be in my home. I want to be surrounded by pictures I had hung on the wall and be able to use my favorite blanket. I want to drink out of my best coffee mugs and use my own bathroom. I want to live in a place that feels like me and that is full of all the people I love.
Mm-hmm.
If I needed to go on hospice care, I would like it for it to be done at home. I understand that this isn't everyone's ideal, but I do think my family would be willing to accommodate this desire and do whatever needed to be done to make it happen. I also believe that our house, wherever it would be, could accommodate this, and furniture could easily be rearranged to fit a hospital bed if necessary. I said that I would consent to going on hospice or an assisted living facility if anyone in my immediate family, so right now, like you or my mom, in the future you or our kids, felt like I needed a higher level of care or that I would be better taken care of somewhere else. It's not my first choice again, but I trust that my loved ones will have my best intentions at heart and want me to be well and comfortable. And then if I had to go to a non-home facility, like you were talking about earlier, like a home or hospitalization, I would want the space to feel homey, but without anyone going through too much trouble. So, just bringing up pictures or memories from our life. And I said, I want wedding photos and pictures with my kids and grandkids. I probably will want my pillow and blanket to feel comfortable. And I think that I would want visitors as much as possible. I hope I won't ever have to be alone as I'm walking through the end of my life. And I want to see anyone and everyone that wants to or feels led to come visit and say goodbye. Do you have any thoughts, feelings, anything about what I wrote about having, my idea of a good death?
I know you said this is my time to have opinions, but, all that just makes perfect sense to me. I think I feel the same way, and I'm not shocked that I feel that way.
Yeah. Okay, next is body disposal. So I said I would like a traditional fire cremation. I think I told you this, but basically I thought they stuck your body right in there, and they don't. You have to have some sort of casket or box, but I said I want the cheapest one available, and I put a note that would be a cardboard box, because some places don't tell you that's an option, but I don't want unnecessary money being spent just for it to burn. I do not want a viewing, and I do not want my cremated remains to be at any sort of funeral service. I said that I strongly identify as a Christian, and I don't think that whatever I choose to do with my body after I die really matters. I believe that I'll live forever in heaven in the presence of God and experience a resurrection, but I do not believe that my body disposal method will impact that reality at all. I said, to be perfectly honest, I don't really care about what happens to my body when I die. I'm dead. I'm no longer there. I believe that I'll be in heaven worshiping God, and my earthly body is just no longer a need. I have chosen cremation because it's cheaper than burial. It's readily and easily accessible, and I don't want a permanent spot on this earth, and I don't want my friends and family to feel the need to come visit me or keep a grave plot looking nice. I do plan to set aside money for this when I'm older, but I just don't really think it's something I want to do at this point in my life. I just feel like it would just be not the best for me. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, it all makes sense. Again, I know you told me before that you wanted to be cremated, and I like a lot of what you said about how you're as Christians, it's not really the biggest deal in the world what happens to our earthly bodies once we die.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Also, I don't want my ashes to sit in an urn on anyone's fireplace. I don't really want people keeping parts of me. I just want them to be spread, and right now I don't really have a place in mind, but if anyone is hey, this place really meant a lot to me and Taylor, or I know Taylor really loved this place, great with me. Maybe later in life I'll have a place where I'm hey, maybe some here, but right now I don't really feel like I do. The next section is about finances and possessions, which was kind of hard to fill out because I wrote I don't have a living will or a trust, but I think that's something we'll probably set up sooner rather than later. I said I don't have any children or pets and pretty limited assets. But with graduating and us getting married and having, working in corporate America, it's something we can start thinking about. And once we have kids, it all go to them. If I die and you're still alive, obviously everything will just go to you and be up to you to decide. And I also know that you will be the executor of my will. I think it's only makes sense that, like, as my husband, hopefully, by the time I die, for you to be in charge of making sure that my wishes are granted. I think that you know me the best, and I think that you would make that a priority to make sure whatever I wanted to happen would happen. Do you feel like okay with that kind of responsibility? And
Yeah.
Okay. Next is for the virtual world. I said I don't really know, or maybe just don't really care about what happens to my virtual identity. All my social media accounts are public, and it's pretty much just my followers and friends, or my family and friends anyway. I don't really have any, like, secret things that I look at on the internet, nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed of, and there's just nothing really for me to hide. I think if I had to pick a preference for my social media accounts, which are just Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, I also have Pinterest, but I think they just would be left the way they are. I do not want a digital memorial. I don't know if you've seen that, like a graphic, almost looks like a meme. Rest in peace, Taylor, with some flowers. I said I don't want that, but I don't know that I want them to be deleted. I feel like people might want to go look at that and see, like, oh, Taylor wrote this, Taylor posted this picture, this meant something to her. So I think I just would want everything to remain the way it is at the time of my passing. I said all of my passwords for these accounts and stuff are on my phone in a note, and Tommy knows how to find them if he needs to, but they also would not be hard to find if someone else needed or wanted access to them. And I said I don't really have any important files or documents on my phone or computer. This document will get saved once it's submitted, so other than that, everything could just kind of be wiped or deleted, and if people wanted the pictures, they could do whatever they wanted with them. Does that all feel okay?
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't want the virtual. It's weird.
Okay. So this is social stuff. I said I would love to leave messages for my loved ones and be able to read after I die. Obviously, it's only possible if I'm aware that the end of my life is coming, but in an ideal situation, I'd be able to do this. I would want to write handwritten letters to you, to any of our kids or grandchildren, if my parents or grandparents are still living, and any of my closest friends. If I were to die and my kids were still young, I'd want to write them each a letter for different milestones in their life, like graduations, big birthdays, their wedding day, the birth of their children. I also would love to make a video to tell my story in the way that God has been good and faithful in my life. I want my friends and family to have this video to look back at if they miss me or want to hear my voice. I think that would be the story I want to tell. And if I had time, I would want to record a video saying bye and just admiring and loving on you and any of our kids. I said I don't like funerals, and I'm very confident that I don't really want a traditional funeral. I think a celebration of life service is more in line with what I would want. I, again, do not want my body or cremated remains or anything of that sort present. I'd want everyone to come wearing bright colors or just put on their favorite dress. I want there to be sweet pictures of my family on display and maybe a couple vases of my favorite flowers like ranunculus, peonies, lilies, or orchids. Maybe some snacks and lots of Dr. Pepper, and I want people to just share their favorite memories and stories of me and just all spend time together. I also made a Spotify playlist of some of my favorite songs, songs that are being played at our wedding. Songs remind me of Grandma, lots of ABBA, and some songs worshiping Jesus. I said at this point in my life, I think my mom would probably, I didn't notify A&M of my death and whoever was necessary to get me out of all that stuff. I think she's pretty type A and task oriented and would just want to kind of take care of all that. But I think pretty soon you would be in charge of telling my job or coworkers if that kind of thing happened. I also said I hate thinking of the possibility of Tommy or I dying young, and I have a lot of jumbled thoughts about that would look like, but if I died relatively young, I would want Tommy to move on and marry someone else. I think at least a year of mourning my loss would be respectful, but if I died and we already had grandchildren already, I think that should be it. I think at that point, you've had the love that you needed in this life and you should lean into family. But again, that's not my decision. I don't want my feelings to control whatever you decide to do. What do you think about all of that social stuff?
So you're telling me I can't be on the Golden Bachelor? Yeah, I mean, that'll make sense. Definitely right now, your mom would be the one taking up the helm. But yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about like the service or?
The service is exactly what I would want it to be as well. And so I love it. And I like that you attach playlists too.
Okay. The last section is information dispersal. I said that you, my parents, my grandpa, my 8 close friends all have my location. We'll be able to track where I was, where my phone was. My phone probably has the most valuable information of things outside of a couple documents. And I said my phone password's pretty much known to anyone who's ever met me, and it's no secret.
Mm-hmm.
I said my passport, social security card, birth certificate, all those things are in a fireproof bag. They're currently at my mom's house. They'll be moved to our apartment, but again, not hard to find. People know where they are. There's no special codes or instructions to get this information. I think all of our close people will know where to find it. And this document, along with the advance directive and things, will be printed out and put in there as well if it's ever needed.
Sounds good.
Do you have any closing thoughts about this whole portfolio?
It's sad, but I mean, it all makes sense. And I like going into this. I don't really think I had anything you said like surprised me.
Yeah.
That much. I'm a little surprised that you said if you die young, you'd want me to move on.
I'm not even young.
Yeah. But yeah, it all makes sense. It's good to know everything.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like you now want to have something like this someplace like for you, especially with like the advanced directive and stuff, or like the level of care that you want, or do you feel like, oh, now that you said this, I'm thinking about all these things that I want?
I do feel like I'm like, oh, I should probably have something set up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really thought of anything like, oh, I really want this, but it was just more of like, oh, I should have that set up.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.